traitor to our tradition.
Requiem for a Brother by Pereira, an adaptation of Antigone by Sophocles. The setting, USA 2019. Scene 1. Lights up. Enter Governor Parker. The men's chorus leader steps forward.
You asked for an audience?
Have you seen what she's done?
Who?
That treacherous woman loved by your faithless son.
Don't talk about my son that way, or this audience is over.
We apologize, sir, but you need to do something.
Don't tell me what I need to do.
Have you seen the TV interview?
No. But I heard about it.
And you don't think this is a problem?
Of course I do. What do you take me for? But I have to be a little careful. She's a young girl.
A woman.
No one cares what she says.
All due respect, you haven't seen the support she's getting. The president himself has come out and said...
The president is not here. I am responsible for this state.
Then you must know that there are groups rushing to get behind her.
I know.
Enemies of our state.
I know.
If you don't do something, it could get out of hand.
I know. But maybe it will go away. After all, what can she do? We control the borders.
It's not about what she can do. It's that she's threatening to do it. She's threatening to bring her brother's body home for a burial. She's disobeying the law.
Maybe she didn't mean it.
You're only saying that because you haven't seen the interview. Please, see it, sir. She's acting in ways contrary to the wishes of the United States government. You're an officer of the law. The president has said she can't do this. You've said she can't do this. She's making a mockery of you, sir, in public. A mockery of law-abiding citizens. Once we allow this to happen... Sorry, sir. Once you allow this to happen...
You're right.
We will...
This TV interview in which she said we don't have the right to prevent her action was disconcerting. But don't think I've been passive about this. We've had her under surveillance for 2 days now. Ever since this started. Actually, even before this began. We know what she's trying to do, who she's meeting. But there's a time for caution and a time for action. We'll monitor the situation closely and take appropriate steps. I'm not going to be rushed into anything that might escalate emotions. For now, the nation's eyes are on us. So we need to build a case against her instead of simply going crazy. I appreciate your concerns and I share them. But I know what I'm doing. If we give her enough rope, she'll hang herself. She's impulsive and careless. You need to trust me. I've got my eye on this, and I will not let her proceed with this subversive plan. You can be sure of that. I just want to make sure we don't jump the gun and give her more publicity than she should have. I didn't expect her to give this TV interview, but now that it's done, I don't want to feed the beast. You know what the media is like. Nothing lasts beyond one news cycle unless we give them cause. They asked me for a comment, and I merely said she's free to say what she wants, but actions are a different matter.
And what if she does something?
It won't happen. We'll prevent it. Besides, what can she do? Ship the body through customs? It's not going to happen.
I hope you're right, sir.
I know I am. I've sworn to protect the people of this state, and on that, I will not allow anyone to challenge my authority in any concrete way. I'm hoping she'll realize how futile her proposal is and change her mind. She is, after all, a woman with no real backing. A lone dissident, if you can even call what she's doing dissidence.
The men's chorus moves forward. They are a group of white supremacists.
The danger grows with passing days. Where shall we turn and put our trust? He preaches patience and displays no will to act in ways he must. Cautiously, we wait and watch. The danger grows, it must be scotched. Cautiously, we wait and watch. The danger grows, it must be scotched.
The men's chorus recedes. Scene 2. The women's chorus moves forward. They are a group of non-white women.
Dark days are here upon us. Demons of fear engulf us. Dread spreads among us. What do we do? How to respond? Our sister Nazim plunges heedlessly into an abyss, and we are powerless to help. Impotent, we wait for any chance to save her. All we can do is talk and talk, but she's implacable and relentless. Still, we must persuade her against this reckless action, against a disastrous fate.
But is she doing something wrong?
There is no right or wrong. The gods have been silenced. Allah and Krishna, Elohim and As-Salam, Radha and Lakshmi and Kali the Deadly. Why are they silent just when we need them?
The gods are never silenced. They recede for a time. They wait with infinite patience.
Advise.
Who will save her? Should we speak?
Silence is the coward's way. All we have are words. We must fight with the weapons we are given.
Not enough.
She is brave. The gods are not dead, and they can see that what she does will honor them. Funeral rites are ancient and imputable.
State is now a god. Men and women worship at a different altar.
And what is our role?
To offer comfort to our sister.
And that is all?
Times that is enough.
Here she comes. Let us speak to her.
Hello, sisters. I'm glad to see you.
We have no words to offer you, no comfort or advice. Your path is set, you plow ahead. We crouch like frightened mice. We long to help you, sister ours. What can we do? Please tell. Your granite face strikes fear in us. Ahead we hear death's knell.
The die is cast, and I must play this out to the end. I know you think I'm determined and unyielding, but suddenly I'm afraid. I feel unworthy of such a task, and yet I must do it. My brother lies on a cold stone far from home. My family cowers in corners. The path that seemed clear before any action was taken now seems foggy and uncertain.
We are afraid for you. No one will blame you should you walk away.
I will blame myself. I cannot live with it. Weak as I am, I must push forward. I wish there was another way, but fate has placed me on a chessboard against the governor and his pawns, and once I made my move, there was no turning back. My destiny is set.
We won't take advantage of your fears to stop you. Earlier, we only set the stage that you may see clearly what you're up against.
Thank you for that. But now, don't try to dissuade me from my task. I need your collective strength, my sisters. I can show my most vulnerable self to you, lay bare my fears. So please, don't lecture me.
We will enfold you in our arms and prepare you for the battle ahead. What you do is courageous, and we'll be there till the end.
So you think I'm right?
It's not for us to pronounce judgment. Only the gods can do that. You must do only what you perceive is your destiny.
But it's so hard. So hard. I'm just a girl battling all these men.
You are a woman of character and substance. No ordinary girl. You can be the queen in this chess game against the governor, the most powerful player on the board. It's human to be afraid. Heroes are those who go into battles they may or may not win. They answer an inner call to action, an ancient clarion call born when the world was young, when death first visited us. We are asking for was sanctioned by gods everywhere.
But my brother did a treacherous thing.
That was his destiny. Every action has context, a beginning far beyond our vision. It's not for us to judge that action without feeling all the reverberations. You cannot confuse your destiny with his.
It's entwined with his.
That may be, but only indirectly. You must do what is given to you to do.
Right to the bitter end.
You cannot know where it will lead. The journey is all.
We have no choice. We have to find the path of righteousness assigned by fate and be resolved to stay the course no matter come what may. You chose this time to make the leap, and even though the way is deep, the journey long with danger fraught, we'll be beside you for support.
If this is what you really want.
Earlier you tried to dissuade me. You weren't in favor.
We had no reason to suspect your motives or intent. We did not mean to disrespect your actions or dissent. There was no judgment, harsh or light, in what we said that day. Our only fear was for your plight. It filled us with dismay. We pushed you hard and spoke our mind, but once your mind was made, we knew you speak for womankind, and now we're your brigade.
Thank you, dear friends. It's a journey I must take alone.
You are not alone. Look for us by your side every step of the way. You are not alone, though your heart is scarred with the wounds of love. You are not alone, though your burden is heavy with the hopes of others. You are not alone.
I will forever be grateful.
Despotic rulers who flout the natural laws embedded in ancient traditions and in the wills of the gods have to be resisted, whatever the cost.
Peace shadow your steps, though you walk in a field of strife. May virtue and honor guide your way and lead you to fulfillment.
Lights fade. Nazneen exits. The women's chorus moves back. Scene 3. Lights up. Bazima is waiting. Nazneen enters.
Where have you been?
Talking to some friends.
About what?
Never mind.
I hope it's about this, and I hope they changed their mind.
On the contrary, how can I just stand around and do nothing? This is our brother we're talking about.
There's something more important, Nazneen.
What can be more important than our family's honor, Basima?
That's exactly what I mean. Our honor is already trashed. We are vilified by everyone. Why not leave it alone? You're only going to bring more attention and shame to us.
The shame is in not doing this. The shame is in being passive.
What about our parents? What
Our
about
fa-
their name?
Our father is dead, murdered.
Protecting our mother. And what about her? She has to live with this.
That's what I mean. He didn't care about his own life. He cared about honor. That's all I'm trying to do.
Is that what you're trying to do?
What then?
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if you only think about yourself.
How can you say that? You're my sister. If you, of all people, don't understand.
I understand only too well. Nothing about you has changed since you were a child, always wanting to fight for something.
Don't make it about me, Basima.
You did that. It is about you, Nazneen. It's always about you.
Some causes are worth fighting for.
Worth dying for?
Baba thought so.
Don't you dare use Baba's death as an excuse.
It's not an excuse. He did what he had to do to protect Mummy, to save our honor.
He didn't do it to save anybody's honor. They were attacked by a bunch of racists, and he tried to defend himself and Mommy. He tried to save their lives, not just their honor.
Those men attacked him and Mummy because of who they were. Protecting their lives was also a way of protecting their honor.
What he did was admirable, and yes, honorable. But it's different from protecting his honor. You've reshaped the narrative to draw inspiration from it, and that's okay. It's even commendable. But the question here isn't about honor, and it wasn't then. You're going to get yourself killed. Baba had no choice. He found himself in a position where he had no choice.
I too have no choice.
No, Nazneen, you have a choice. You have time to think. He didn't.
Do you think he would have acted differently if he had time to think?
He might have run away if they hadn't cornered him. I don't know. But he didn't have time, and you do. Sometimes I think you go looking for causes. It's as if you can't live a normal life. You're a protester in search of things to protest, and this time you will go too far.
Our brother is dead.
He was a traitor.
Don't you say that!
Thank you for that. Now you won't have anyone on your side.
You're on my side, really?
I care about you. That's why I'm saying all this. And for that, I get a slap.
I'm sorry, Bessie. I shouldn't have done that.
I don't care about that. It's not the first time you've slapped me.
I'm so sorry. I just don't.
No, you don't. You just fly off the handle and run over anyone who's in your way.
How can you say that about our brother?
Isn't that what he is, Nazneen?
Oh, Bessie. He wasn't a traitor. He was naive and impressionable and a victim.
His actions make him a traitor, Nazneen.
He didn't know what he was doing.
Didn't he?
He wouldn't be dead if our government had let him come back.
Maybe. I'm glad he didn't come back.
How can you say that? He said he was sorry for what he did, and all he wanted to do was come home and stand trial. He was willing to pay for his so-called crimes.
Do you know what a public trial would have done to all of us? The shame and humiliation? And don't call them so-called crimes. He posted videos on an ISIS website denouncing America, calling for a jihad against his own country.
He was clearly brainwashed, Basima.
We know that. But these days, nobody thinks about context, Nazneen. You're what you do and what you say. In fact, often you are defined for the rest of your life for one thing you say, particularly if people find that thing offensive. And what he said and did were offensive.
But not for us, and not for Nabil. We are his family. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt. We have to consider the boy he was before this horrible thing happened. I know you have a family and you're scared.
Of course I'm scared.
You're protective of your family and you're frightened that this will isolate you and your in-laws?
You have no idea. I'm already isolated.
Oh, Lassie, I'm so sorry. What have they said?
They don't have to say anything, even though they do. They're worried about what can happen to them. And if you do this, the backlash will be swift and terrible. Why did you give this television interview? Couldn't you have done it quietly?
It stopped being a private matter the day Nabil tried to turn himself into the Jordanian authorities to return home, which they refused because the president labeled him as a traitor and denied him permission to come home.
They revoked his citizenship.
No, they didn't. They just said that. You can't revoke it for a natural-born citizen just like that. There's a whole process dictated by the Constitution.
Now you're a constitutional expert.
I'm not, but I looked it up.
You think they care about the Constitution when it comes to people like us?
We're American citizens.
Except when we're not. Only when we behave ourselves and keep our mouth shut. And even then, they don't think of us as citizens. They're always looking for reasons to say that we're un-American. And Nabil gave them one more reason, the worst one, because they're fixated on Muslim terrorists. That's their default. Even though there are thousands of wonderful Muslim citizens who are making huge contributions to this country, even though domestic white terrorism is much more real and threatening and terrible, Nabil was selfish and didn't think how his actions could impact any of us.
He was severely depressed and isolated and wasn't himself at all.
And now he's placed all of us in jeopardy. I have 2 children, Naz. I have to think of them, of their future. They've already been harassed and threatened in a school by 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds. Can you imagine that? You know how many times I've had to keep them home from school? They used to be wonderful students. Now they're just scared. And my husband's having a rough time at work, not to mention me. I have a whole family of in-laws who can barely speak civilly to me. They blame me. They were nicely negotiating their way through their own circle of friends when this happened.
You mean their white friends?
What difference does that make? It exploded in their faces. Even their Muslim friends are pissed off at them because every single time this happens, even a tiny infraction, the whole community gets blamed. You know that.
Yes, I do.
Do you wonder why I'm so angry with Nabil?
He's dead, Bassi. Think of that.
He's dead and beyond the reach of these people who harass us every day because we are still alive. And despite that harassment, I'd like to stay alive.
No one's going to do anything to you, Bessie.
You're always so sure of everything. Look where it's got you.
What do you mean? What the hell are you even talking about?
Never mind. It's no use talking to you.
Basima, Nabil wasn't a naturalized citizen. He was born here like all of us. We are a 3rd-generation Americans. How could they do that?
When you serve in the military of a foreign state?
What foreign state?
Come on, Naz. ISIS may not be a country, but the Khalifa was definitely engaged in hostilities against the US. Can you blame the president after what Nabil wrote?
There's no Khalifa left. So he couldn't have participated in any military activities because there were none. At least not in the open. All we know is that he posted some propaganda. Do you know how many thousands of American citizens post propaganda against the US government? The internet is chock full of them.
That's protected speech, since you're a constitutional expert and all. They don't leave and join up with the enemy.
The president makes nice with the enemies of America. Other countries mind.
Don't go there, Naz. You're stretching now. There's a difference and you know it.
I can't believe you're siding with that Muslim-hating racist.
And Nabil gave him a reason to hate us some more.
Whose side are you on?
The side of the living.
And I care about the dead.
You care about you. And we, the living, will have to live with the backlash.
We are Muslims in America. We have lived with the backlash for years.
You're adding to it. We've tried so hard, Pervez and me, to make our way here.
I know, sweetie.
We have to look to the future.
You want to be integrated?
What's wrong with that? Don't you?
When we're still thinking about integration after 3 generations, there's something wrong.
Of course there is. But we have to keep trying. It's the process of a lifetime. More than one lifetime. It's the price we have to pay for being born here. Maybe in another 3 generations.
Listen to yourself.
What else can we do? Well, we can't sabotage ourselves. We can't keep regressing and starting all over again, which is what Nabil has forced upon us. And you're taking us back further.
We're not regressing. You're letting them define us.
They own this country, Nazneen. We've had to live carefully for years, but we managed quite well.
What do you call quite well? That our father was murdered trying to protect our mother and himself from racist thugs? I'm sorry you feel that way. I can't capitulate. I can't live my life for you.
I'm not asking you to. I just want you to think about the repercussions of your actions for all of us.
That's the same thing. And what about Nabil?
How often must I say this, Nazneen? He's dead.
But he has a right to paradise. And without a proper burial, he won't get there.
We are supposed to bury our dead within a day.
1 to 3 days, except in special circumstances like war and murder. And this is both. But right now, I'm the only one who cares what will happen to him in the next life.
That's not fair. I care too.
Do you?
Of course. I was closer to him. I played with him when he was little. I looked after him after Baba. Where were you when he dropped out of college? Fighting some cause as usual. You didn't know him.
If you knew him so much, then why didn't you stop him?
Don't you think I'm haunted by that? Don't you think I don't think about that every damn day? Don't you think I blame myself? But I didn't know. He kept his plan secret.
Yes.
Look at us arguing now. When he left and joined ISIS, we should have done something.
I tried to contact him, but
it was easier to try to ignore it, to pretend it wasn't happening, to hope it would eventually go away. And now he's dead. And I'm still trying to ignore it. I'm sorry, Nas, if it seemed like I'm blaming him. Sometimes it feels like it would make it more bearable if I could just blame him, just hate him, like my in-laws do. It's so hard being among them alone, and then I don't know what to do. I feel trapped. As much as I try to forget, he haunts me. And then I see my in-laws blaming me, and then I want them, and then I want to hate them, and you for reminding everyone, but he was my baby brother. Oh God, our baby brother Nas, murdered by those monsters at ISIS. And instead of hating them, everybody hates him.
And they were aided by our government.
Dead, Nazdeen. Oh God, he's dead. Dead, 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 dead.
Bessie, darling, big sister, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I wish you had been there for him.
We were.
Not really. I was married and you were always so busy.
You're going to blame that for me now?
No, I'm not. It just sucks, you know?
It does.
That's why I don't want you to do anything. It feels like after he died, he became a cause for you.
That's unfair. Don't you say that.
It's true, though, isn't it?
He was my brother.
After he died, after this whole fiasco.
We always loved him.
Of course you did. We all love our family, but neither of us was around when he was struggling.
No, we weren't. And I'm sorry for that too. After Baba, oh God, I hate myself. But it was just so hard to come home and to be reminded and to see Mummy in such a state, to feel so helpless.
Me too. I tried coming home as much as I could, but with Perviz and the children.
Oh, thank God for Kara.
Yes, but she could only do so much. In the beginning, when she came regularly to be with Mommy, I felt awful that Mommy didn't have her daughters to comfort her as much as she might have wanted.
But we were here from time to time.
To ease our guilt. Maybe that's why we didn't notice Nabil. You didn't notice anything? You're always so aware.
I didn't know, sweetheart. I didn't. I don't know why he did it, Bessie. I'm still trying to wrap my mind about it. But there are more important things to do. We have to bring his body home.
The governor has been very clear, blustered by the president. He can't come home. He's a traitor and a non-citizen.
I don't care. They can't just decide that arbitrarily. Like I just said, It wasn't as if he was fighting. He just posted stuff on some damn website.
Stuff, Nas? He advocated terror against US citizens, invited people to join in a jihad. That's not stuff.
He made a mistake. He said he was sorry, wanted to come back and stand trial. That's the right of any citizen, any human being. What happened to due process? That's all he wanted, and they denied him. Okay, so he did some terrible things, but he paid for it with his life. Both sides screwed him. Once he was denied entry, he was a marked man. And they killed him. They slaughtered our brother, Bessie. All I want to do is bring him home to be buried properly, and I'm surprised that you don't see that.
I do see it, but I have a family to think about. Our mother to think about. It might be better for her not to see his body. We don't know in what state of disfigurement it is. We don't know how he was murdered. Have you considered that right now to her, to all of us? He's a memory in a foreign place.
He's her son. He'll never be just a memory for her.
You know what I mean. Maybe it will be easier for her if he was buried somewhere else.
Let me say it again. It's a question of honor, Basima.
Whose honor, Naz?
His. Ours.
Is it really a question of honor? Or do you just want to use him to attack the president and the governor and
Go on.
white America, whom you're always blaming in all your activism?
Am I wrong?
Of course not. But when you use our brother this way, you don't honor him. You turn him into a pawn. Because people who hated him for what he did now have a reason, because of you, to hate him more and hate us and hate all Muslims.
They already hate all of us.
What does Hayden say? Have you talked to him?
No.
Why not? Your boyfriend is the governor's son. Why don't you ask him for help?
This is our family's business. I won't ask him to get involved like that.
To go against his family? You don't seem to mind going against yours.
That's low. But that's not it. It's not about Hayden. It's about doing what's right. The president and the governor are selective when it comes to reinforcing the law. So I must do what I find is right. I don't even expect you to do anything, but it would be nice if you at least supported me.
You're doing something dangerous, Naz. The whole country is crazy.
Can you leave it alone?
Yes, I can. Unlike you, I don't believe that Nabil will be denied paradise just because he wasn't buried by us. Besides, when did you become so religious? When was the last time you went to mosque?
Oh, forget it. I don't need your help.
What are you going to do?
Go to your family.
Don't do anything stupid.
Oh!
I'm sorry. I'm late. I have to...
It's okay. I understand.
I love you, Naz.
I love you too, Bessie.
They hug. Bazima leaves. Scene 4. A few minutes later. Nazneen is lost in thought for a bit. Enter Kara.
What are you doing, Naz?
Hi. Nothing, Kara. Just,
You want to talk about it?
what's there to say?
It's a terrible thing. What are you going to do?
What can I do? What can anyone do?
So sad, so sad.
How's Mommy?
She's sleeping now. Dr. Nonori gave her a sedative.
Poor Mommy. I can't imagine what she's feeling. I'll go and chat with her in a bit.
Are you really going to do it?
Do what, Kara?
What you said to that TV reporter about Nabil? Are you somehow going to find a way to bring home his body in defiance of the governor?
Something has to be done. Someone has to do it. We can't just leave him in the hands of those monsters.
But he's not in their hands now, is he? He's in a morgue in Jordan.
For now, I don't know what will happen next week. All I know is he's not here to be buried by his family.
It's a terrible thing. What he did?
You too? God, everyone is only focused on what he did. No one seems to care that he was murdered.
Of course we care. A young life destroyed.
Do you mean destroyed by his actions or what was done to him?
It doesn't matter who did it or how it happened. It shouldn't have happened.
He was radicalized, Kara. That's not too difficult to understand, is it? He was depressed and isolated and... But how would I know, Kara? I was rarely at home. You had a better chance of knowing than I did.
I'm only here a few hours a month now. Not as frequently as I used to come, and only with your mother. I hardly talk to him.
Did you ever notice anything suspicious?
He mostly kept to himself. I didn't even go near his room.
You've been a good friend to Mummy, Kara.
To tell the truth, I was a bit suspicious.
Of what?
Of what Nabil might be doing. Your mother said that he locked himself in his room for hours, days.
And?
I almost feel embarrassed to say it now.
Stop it, Kara. When did anything ever stop you from speaking? You're almost family now.
Okay, don't laugh. I thought he was reading porn magazines.
Oh, Kara. No one reads porn magazines anymore. That's what the internet's for.
Well, there you go. He always had his laptop with him. I feel bad. I might have missed something.
All of us missed the clues until he was gone. This is the genius of these people. They're masters of internet propaganda and targeting people. He was probably radicalized through his laptop. Besides, how could you know? We should have known. You would do enough for our mother.
She's become my friend.
Don't know what she would have done without you after father died.
That's what our organization is for, to volunteer wherever we can help. Women who have suffered great loss need us.
Yet here you are 2 years later.
And like I said, your mother is my friend. I still can't believe Nabil would go to them.
He was suffering, Kara, in college. Bessie told me he faced all kinds of abuse. You would know.
About Nabil?
No, yourself and your family. How do you cope? You must have had to deal with this white supremacy crap all your life.
I'm leaving now. I have work to do, Naz.
Talk to me, please.
And say what, sweetie? What do you want to know? What it's like for a black woman in America?
Well, yes, sort of.
To what purpose?
Well,
do you really think we have had the same experiences?
No, of course not. But
there are no buts, Naz. You're a good person. But do you even know what you're doing?
Yes. No. Maybe not. Since everyone keeps asking me that question.
Perhaps you should figure that out first.
I can't, Kara. I can't let myself question it any further. I can't let myself or anyone dissuade me from this. I just have to do this.
I can't tell you what to do, sweetie. And I am sorry, but when you ask me what it's like as a black woman, I don't even know what to say without sounding too harsh.
It's okay. I'm learning that I at least have to listen to other people. Basima is upset with me as well. I only thought I might understand you. What it's like. Please don't be upset.
I'm not upset. I just don't have anything to say. I've been coming here to be with your mother for what now? 2 years? What do you know about me? About my family, my life? I used to come here once a week in the evenings. Since 6 months after your father died, I know a lot about your family. I bet you don't even know where I live, do you? Not that you should. And that's okay. We all have lives. But now, Suddenly you want to know how I deal with discrimination? Where should I start to give you the Cliff Notes version of 300 years? Because it's not just about my life here and now. You want to understand why your brother did what he did. But how much time did you spend with him? When he was alive, I didn't know much about him because, as I said, when he was at home, he locked himself in his room. I did know that he liked Fruit Loops and Kit Kats because he always was asking your mother to put him on the grocery list. And sometimes I would help her by doing the groceries. I'm so sorry he's dead. I mean that. And I can't imagine what your family's going through. Well, actually, I can, but that's another story. But
I'm sorry, Cara. That was insensitive of me.
oh, no, sweetie. You're filled with grief and anger, and you're looking for answers. You want to do something. I get that. But I can't help you. You can't understand from my experiences what you, your brother, and your family are experiencing. It only feels similar, superficially. Actually, we're worlds apart. But I will say this. What you're doing could get you killed, and your mother is worried.
Has she said anything?
Of course. She's worried that you're going to get hurt. She's worried about the rest of the family. You gave that TV interview without any warning, without telling anyone.
I knew they would try to stop me.
Did you think about the fallout?
I thought it was important to go public with this. Tell people the truth. Bring it into the open to prevent them from, I don't know.
These days, that's like tossing chung into shark-infested waters. Now your whole family is a target.
I know.
I don't want to say more, but do be careful. These are dangerous times.
I will. Thank you. And once again, I'm so sorry for being insensitive.
Don't worry about it. I didn't feel offended, just helpless.
That seems to be the prevailing sentiment these days.
Kara exits. Lights fade. Scene 5. Lights up. An hour later. Hayden is waiting for Lithnine. She hurries in. They hug.
Sorry, I'm late.
How are you? I haven't seen you in days.
I'm sorry. I've been busy.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, please don't you start on me too. I just don't have the energy to fight with you.
Who said anything about fighting?
Oh, okay. Good. Then what did you want to see me for?
Do I need a reason to see my girlfriend?
You're right. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible girlfriend.
Not terrible. Just bit absent sometimes.
I don't know what to do. I'm so afraid I won't be good company.
You know that's not true. I don't care what mood you're in. You should know that by now.
I know. I just I'm just
Wound up tight?
Does it show?
Well,
Don't say anything. You're so good to me. So patient. Thank you.
I'm sorry you're having such a rough time. Hey, how can I help?
I wish I knew, hey.
I could talk to my father.
Oh, hey, I couldn't ask you to do that.
You're not asking. I'm offering.
I don't want to put you in a precarious position.
You're not. He's my father.
Who doesn't like me?
That is not true.
It is, and you know it. You're very sweet to shelter me from his disapproval, but
I'm not. It's not you. It's
what? This latest harebrained thing I'm doing?
well.
I think he didn't approve of me before this thing.
I'm sorry, sweetheart.
Don't be. We didn't ask to fall in love. And your father, he's a devout Christian.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it, I guess. Seriously, though, I will talk to him.
If you think it will help, I'm so desperate I'll try anything. But I don't want to come between you and your dad.
It was bound to happen sooner or later. I mean, it doesn't have to be divisive.
How can it not? After I attacked him in public?
Why did you, Naz? And you didn't even tell me.
I was trying to protect you, hey.
I do not need protection.
Well, I didn't want you to try to stop me. Admit it, you would have tried.
Possibly. But I don't mind that you gave the interview. You had your reasons. I only wish you had told me. You shouldn't decide for me.
Like you're doing for me now?
Am I? Deciding? I'm merely asking some questions since you've been so busy doing all kinds of things while we've been apart. I thought we were partners.
We are, but I don't think you realize how dangerous all of this is.
I do know. I'm not blind. Why do you think I'm worried?
Oh, Hayden.
What? You don't think I would understand? What do I have to do to prove that I love you?
It's not about love, hey?
What then? I'm a privileged white boy who can't understand what you're going through?
I don't think that way.
You're right. I am privileged. But I'm trying hard to... I haven't let my father dictate how I should feel about you, and that shouldn't be like...
Make you feel good? That you haven't let your father decide? Why should your father decide anything about us?
You're right. I'm sorry. That was not what I meant.
I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have snapped at you. I know you've been under a lot of stress, and that's why I didn't want to involve you.
But don't you realize that just adds to my stress? Knowing you're in danger, knowing that you might not trust me enough?
It's not about trust, Hayden. I knew that your father and I were on a collision course, and I didn't want to make you choose.
I've already chosen you, Naz.
It's easy when there's not much at stake.
What do you mean? On the one hand, you say it's not just about love, and on... Don't shut me out, Naz.
There are, let's just say, people who your father would characterize as unsavory characters. But they're not. They're just opposed to this president and his policies. They're not foreigners. Everybody knows that there are thousands of people who are just part of domestic resistance. You've seen the speeches and heard the marches. Social media is filled with their cries of protest. And they're against your father too, so it's just better if you don't know.
What are you up to?
Nothing, Hayden. That should worry you. I've got it under control.
Sounds like there's something that you're not telling me. Something dangerous.
I want to bring my brother home for a proper burial. Why can't you understand that?
I do. And I support that 100%. But I don't want you to do anything that will be too dangerous.
It's all dangerous. This whole thing. There are too many forces against me. And that's why I went public. To, hide in the open, so to speak. But I've realized that this is something I must do alone.
Once you've made it public, you involved all of us who love you.
Massimo said more or less the same thing. But I had to keep it in the public eye or they would have gotten rid of his body.
Who? Talk to me, Naz. You've been avoiding me ever since this went down.
I have not. Okay, I have. I'm sorry. I told you why.
Okay, fine. But we're here now. So tell me now. Whom don't you trust?
Anyone? Everyone? I don't trust anyone. Right now, Nabil's body is in a morgue somewhere in Jordan, and I don't know how long he'll be there.
How do you know that?
Don't ask me, hey. I don't want to drag you into this.
And there it is.
You know that's not true. But the less you know, the better. How will it matter how much you know? Your position, mind you.
My position?
Yes, try not to forget that your father is the governor, and in this situation, he and I are on opposite sides.
If you want me to help, then...
I don't want you to help.
Oh, thanks.
I knew this would happen. I didn't ask you to help for this reason. You offered, so I went along with it because I'm just desperate to try anything, even if I think it will not work. But there are things you cannot I cannot tell you. You just have to trust me. You just have to trust that I love you, and it isn't that I don't trust you. It's so important to me that you believe that.
I do. And you're right. You didn't ask for my help. I offered it. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize, sweetheart. They killed him at the southern border of Syria after he was denied entry into Jordan and his passport confiscated. Fortunately, the Jordanian authorities got a hold of his body, or
I'm sorry.
he did what he did. I don't understand why, or actually, I sort of understand, but that doesn't matter now. The only thing I want is to bring him home and bury him.
How are you going to do that? I mean, are you going to Jordan to fetch the body?
I don't want to say too much, but there are people who are ready to help. How do you think we found out where his body is being kept, or that he had been murdered?
I thought you found out from the media.
I knew almost as soon as it happened. It was horrible, but at least I got to tell my family first.
Who are these people?
Once again, please don't ask me. Actually, I don't even know much about them except for they have a vested interest in helping me bring him home.
A vested interest? You mean they want to use you to make a point?
Of course they do, but I don't care. Everyone has skin in this game, Hayden. The president, your dad, haters all over the place, and those who see themselves as the resistance.
But you won't be able to bring him in without the authorities knowing.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Wow. It seems like you've thrown in your lot with some strange and possibly dangerous people.
They're not dangerous. The dangerous people work with the so-called law and order. The people who have every right to try and stop me.
Which means you're breaking the law.
What law? Whose law? Dead or not, Nabil is still a US citizen. And what about natural law, huh? God's law. He's entitled to a burial.
Yes, but not necessarily here.
Thanks for that. Now you're sounding like your father and his cronies. Maybe that's why I didn't want to tell you. Now I'm really alone. I should go.
No, please don't go. I'm sorry.
You keep apologizing, Hayden, but I'm not sure what you're apologizing for. It's clear that you don't see this the way that I do.
How can you trust these people?
I have nowhere else to turn. I told you I can't trust anyone.
How do you know they're not using you to stick it to the authorities?
Of course they're using me. I told you everyone has an agenda. The president wants to appeal to a xenophobic base because he hates Muslims, and your father wants to appease the president because they have the same base of voters. And these people want to defy them. I'm standing in the middle of the game. I know I'm probably a pawn, but so what? Everyone uses everyone else, and if I can't bring my brother's body home, I just don't care how it happens or who does it.
I admire you for standing up for your principles, but
He's not a principal. Nabil is my brother.
I just meant that...
I know what you meant. Just let me finish, please. I wasn't the best sister to him when he was alive. I was just so damn busy doing... I don't know what. And yes, maybe there's an element of guilt here. But he's my brother, and he was butchered, and now he's lying like a piece of meat on a cold slab somewhere in Jordan. Nobody wants me to do this. My family would just as soon let him rot there. Well, not rot, but they're so afraid in this political climate that they would rather forget the whole thing. But Hayden, what they don't know is that they will never be able to get on with anything as long as this is left incomplete. My mother buried my dad because he tried to save the both of them from a gang of white fucking supremacists, which probably scarred my brother for life and led him to... My family desperately needs closure, even if they don't know it. And maybe I need it more than they do. There's really no principle here, except for we have a responsibility to bury our dead. But it's also about love. I may not have shown it, but I loved my brother. And anyway, it doesn't matter what your religion is, or even if you have a religion. Burial rites provide closure. Why can't anyone see that?
Hayden puts his arms around her to console her. Lights fade.
Scene 6. Lights up on Hayden and his father, Governor Parker.
It's out of my hands, Hayden.
You're the governor, Dad.
But the president is involved.
Is interfering, you mean?
He's the president.
He could have stayed out of this.
No, he couldn't. It's a question of national security.
That's just political crap to give yourself the license to do whatever you want. Please, Dad, you have the president's ear. This should be easy.
I don't think you understand. She attacked...
Nazneen.
What?
You never say her name.
What nonsense. Of course I do.
No, you don't. Anyway, you haven't even tried.
How could I? She went on TV and made such a ruckus.
It was not a ruckus. It was a simple, straightforward interview in which she calmly laid out her case. Did you even see it?
I was told about it. She attacked me?
Yes, she did. What did you expect? Her brother was killed after his petition to return was callously rejected.
It wasn't rejected. Just held up by the Jordanian authorities.
But the president spoke out against it.
What alternative did the president have?
He's the president. He's proved that he can and will do whatever he wants. He chose to do this because they're Muslims.
Oh no, Hayden. Several Americans who joined ISIS and were captured were allowed by the president to return home and stand trial. Her brother might have been returned home too, even though he was a traitor.
That's debatable. He wanted to return and face a trial. The president openly opposed that. You're supposed to uphold the law. What happened to due process?
It had nothing to do with that. Don't make this about me. I told you that girl was trouble.
That girl?
Yes, that girl, damn it. Wow, we knew she...
You knew what?
Nothing.
I want to know. What did you know?
Forget it. Let's just drop it.
No! Oh my God, what did you know? Were you watching her? Did you have her under surveillance?
She was trouble, Hayden. A rabble-rouser. Protesting and creating trouble on campus. We weren't watching her in particular, just, kept our eye on her. That's our job.
That's my girlfriend, Dad.
Yes, well, you haven't been seeing much of her lately, have you?
Fuck you, Dad.
Watch your mouth, Hayden.
You're a bastard, you know?
Call me whatever you want. Just be thankful we made sure you didn't get into trouble.
Oh my God. You started watching her after I began seeing her.
Don't flatter yourself.
Yes, you did. It had nothing to do with her so-called activities. You were just keeping tabs on your white Christian son's Muslim girlfriend.
That's not fair.
No, it isn't.
The surveillance had the added advantage of ensuring that my son wouldn't get involved in any nefarious activities.
If only you knew Nazneen. That's her name, by the way.
I know.
Of course you do. You've been watching her. Actually, she didn't want me to get involved in this fight.
Well, there's something she and I can agree upon then. I don't want you embroiled in her subversive activities.
There's nothing subversive about her. She just didn't want me pitted against my dad. She's more honorable than you. You're on the wrong side of this.
I'm on the side of the law. The president is sworn to protect this country, and that's what he's doing.
He's just using Nazneen and brother to fire up his base. He doesn't care about the law or the country.
Hayden. You're forgetting.
I'm not forgetting anything, Dad. Most of all, you're a coward hiding behind the president. He said it was up to you. He's a coward as well. got his Secretary of State to say that Nabil was no longer a citizen, which is completely false because he can't do that arbitrarily, and then left it to the governor to do the rest. Both of you are cowards. You need to stand for something. We always had different views on most things, but Mom and I were never really ashamed of you. Until now.
Leave your mother out of this.
Why? I know that and so do you. You're just afraid.
It's easy to talk from where you're standing. You live a privileged life, never having to answer for much. You stand on the sidelines and cast aspersions on everybody else's actions. Even your girlfriend has more gumption than you.
Of course she has. Because I've been a dutiful son intimidated by his all-powerful father because I didn't flout your authority. Until now. Until I fell in love with a Muslim girl.
Love. What do you know about love at your age?
Listen to yourself. I'm almost 30, but you still think I'm a child you can control. All I'm supposed to know is obedience to the great and powerful Governor Parker. The only reason I wasn't disobedient is because of Mother. Because every time I did something wrong, you blamed her. Tell your son, you would say. Her son, not yours. And now I'm glad I'm her son and not yours. And I'm learning from my brilliant girlfriend.
She's a misguided fool, refusing to accept that her family has abused the hospitality of this country.
Stop! Don't talk about hospitality. They're not guests here. They're citizens who were born here and have been here for a few generations and who have actually been abused by the policies and racism of this country. You didn't want me to be with Nazneen without knowing anything about her. It was enough that she was a Muslim girl, a foreigner to you, unfit for your white Christian son. You even refused to say her name.
I was right, wasn't I? Of all the terrorist organizations in the world, her brother chose the most extremist monsters.
Her brother, not her.
It's in her blood.
I cannot believe you just said that. Who are you? I don't even recognize you like this.
ISIS! Come on, people who behead Americans. And then he began attacking this country by posting the most vile calls for vengeance.
He was young, Dad. A boy, misguided, traumatized by all his experiences, by his father being murdered by people who support you, abused in school for being Muslim, someone who lost his way. And he was sorry. We all grow up. He wanted to stand trial, to pay his debt and make amends. But not giving him that chance, you behaved exactly like people.
He was radicalized. Once that happened, we had to be careful because we didn't know who was involved here.
By having his passport confiscated, you left him to be murdered.
We had nothing to do with his passport.
No, you strong-arm our allies into doing your dirty work.
His own actions got him killed, nobody else. If you lie down with vipers, you're asking to be stung.
I know you don't like Nazneen, but you know...
I don't have any emotions to waste on her. It's just that I'm sure she's not good for you.
That's for me to decide.
You did. And I have the right to object. I'm your dad.
I know I can't convince you, but would you at least do the right thing about her brother now?
I am doing the right thing. I can't do anything else.
You mean won't? How about meeting her? Would you do that?
I don't see how it would help.
It might prevent her from doing something radical.
Like what? Is she planning something?
No, I just
Hayden,
thought
if you know something,
there's
you
nothing.
need to tell me now.
What the hell? Don't jump on me for nothing. Besides, aren't you watching her?
She stopped after her brother died. Is she planning something? She must be if she wants her brother's body home. So if you know something, it would be better for everyone, including her, to tell me now. Maybe we should just...
Leave it be.
No, Hayden. There's too much at stake.
There's nothing.
I don't believe you. You're a bad liar.
Oh, unlike you?
I'll let that pass because you're too emotional. But I'm sure there's something. Otherwise, you would have denied it. We were right to...
What? Watch her? I thought you said you stopped the surveillance.
Yes, well,
So you keep lying to your son.
damn it, Hayden. Can't you see I'm only looking out for you? Have you any idea about the kind of people she consorts with?
I don't need your protection. I'm a privileged white male, remember? The son of the governor. Who's gonna fuck with me?
Did you learn that language from her? You never used to talk like that.
I never used to do a lot of things. That was my mistake. But you don't really know me. Just like I'm realizing I don't know you. Why don't you meet her and see her side of it?
At this point, there's only one side. Can't you see that? Meeting her won't change my mind. I don't just speak for myself.
You might see that she's not a monster. Just a young girl trying to do what she can for her family.
Hayden,
Please, Dad. I'm begging you. I don't ask for much.
I'll think about it. But I don't think it'll help.
Thanks, Dad.
He exits. Lights fade. Scene 7. Lights up. The men's chorus steps forward.
You are a father misguided, a citizen who thwarts our will, a man whose way is divided between duty and the shrill. Childish dreams of treason, of perfidy and subversion, behind the veil of tolerance, just treason and subversion.
What do you want?
Why grant an audience to such a person, a woman of no substance, a child from nowhere, an enemy of the state?
She's a citizen of this country and this state.
Offspring of tainted stock, usurper in our land, traitor to our traditions, enemy to your people.
I am governor of all our people.
In this you are so wrong. Your power isn't yours. It emanates from laws that we have passed along to keep us safe from harm. So when we sound alarms, don't seek to us disarm. Your power isn't yours. You represent our will. You have no other cause. So watch what you fulfill. So watch what you fulfill. So watch what you fulfill.
I'm not giving in to her demands, merely giving her an audience. I can't refuse a citizen's request. That would be undemocratic. Why do you worry? Do you not trust me? I've stood fast against her demands thus far.
Sir, it's not you we don't trust. It's your son.
My son doesn't tell me what to do. He only asked me to meet her.
So how could you refuse, right? He's your weak spot.
I have no weak spots. Have I not proved that to you? Have I not rejected all her claims?
You did that under presidential orders. Left to yourself, who knows what you will do?
You know. You know me. Have I let you down before?
You should never have let your son consort with her.
I can't force my son not to be friends with someone.
Why not? This isn't some casual liaison. These are matters of state, matters of supreme importance. If you can't control your own house, how can we trust you to lead the state?
Weak, 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 weak.
Shut up!
Weak, weak,
Shut up!
weak,
Shut up!
weak, weak.
Shut up! You don't get to tell me how to raise my family.
My children and my family are a private affair.
Yes, normally. But now your family has crossed the lines. You must see that. If this burial is allowed to happen, it will open the floodgates to extremism.
No, it won't. You're just worried because she's not like you.
She's not like us. She mocks our ways. Her bitterness will form a blaze that brings you grief. For you are blind, and she's a thief who steals your mind. She's like a thief who steals your mind, who twists your mind.
Have you forgotten what he did, this brother?
No. But he's dead now.
Good. Let him be forgotten forever.
He will be. Can't you see that? He's not even a footnote in the history of the state.
Not if she continues this way. She's gaining support in just 2 days. She's becoming a real threat. You can't ignore her anymore. You can't stand on the fence. You need to choose your friends, your side in this battle.
You are no friend of Caesar to side with such a foe. Can you not see that she's a danger more and more?
Let me handle this my way. I know what I'm doing. You have to trust me.
The situation is too fraught with danger. We can't just trust you. What happens if this girl convinces you?
Oh, she won't. You can bet on it.
We'll be watching, and we have no tolerance left. So tread carefully.
We have no patience. Remember that. We'll not be silenced by such a rat. We have no patience. Remember that. We'll not be silenced by such a rat.
Lights fade as the men's chorus moves back.
Scene 8. Lights up. Parker is standing. Nazneen enters.
My son says I should talk to you.
Your son is naive.
That's not a very nice thing to say.
I didn't mean it as an insult. Perhaps I should say he's an idealist, or maybe just an optimist.
In what way?
He thinks that if you and I talk, something good will come out of it.
And you don't.
How can it? I've attacked you in public. I can't imagine you changing your mind now.
Ah, yes. The TV interview. Did you have to do it?
I had no choice. Once I discovered that my brother's body was being barred from his native country,
which he betrayed in the vilest way.
I'm still an American. This is still his home as much as it is yours.
Citizenship is a privilege. It has to be earned continuously.
Actually, it doesn't. That's the point of it. So spare me the platitudes. You don't say that to the white supremacists who are destroying this country, or to mass murderers, or to thousands of criminals.
They're not enemies of the state.
You don't think that violent white supremacists are enemies of the state? It seems that citizenship has to be continuously renewed only when you look like me and my family.
Oh, don't make this about race. Okay. Make it about race, if you want. But let's talk about how your brother, a Muslim, left his country and joined up with the enemy, a radical Islamist group that wants to destroy America. He wasn't targeted for his race, but for his actions.
When he went there, ISIS was defeated. Most of them were in jails in Syria and elsewhere, except for a few thousand disparate ex-fighters.
Still, he went.
That shows he wasn't really a violent person. Just stupid. He did a wrong thing, even a terrible thing. He was young and naive and looking to escape the hatred he experienced here. And he wasn't asking for a free pass when he tried to return. He took full responsibility for his actions and was willing to face a trial. He knew that there might be severe consequences, that he might even have been sentenced to death. But he was willing to own up to his actions. What he really wanted was to see his family again, even if it was for the last time. Instead, his requests were summarily dismissed. And as he was running out of time, his request turned into pleas. He knew they were after him, so he begged the US government to let him in. Actually, he begged the Jordanian authorities, but they refused. I wonder who pressured them. Can you imagine how scared he must have been? All alone there? I know what you're going to say. He should have thought about it before, but that's the easy answer. It's also the standard answer. But these things are not easy or standard. He didn't think about the possible consequences. He was young and naive and angry and emotionally devastated by our father's death and the way he suffered in college. So yes, there's the other side of the racial problem. But all of you rejected him.
The president has allowed several captured American traitors to return home to be tried. He wasn't rejected, really.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. Here's what I think happened, and I don't know all the details. There was a waiting period at the Jordanian border. He couldn't just waltz back in after what he'd done.
If, as you say, the other American prisoners were brought home, how come he wasn't allowed?
Those prisoners were already captured with the other ISIS fighters. He wasn't among them.
He tried to turn himself into the Jordanian authorities.
They probably didn't want to just arrest him. He had to be vetted. They had to contact the American authorities. But then he just disappeared. That's probably why he was found by his former ISIS friends.
And even if what you say is true, those other prisoners were let in secretly. There's no way the president was going to let my brother in openly. In fact, the president took a public stand against my brother and refused to let him in. He was left twisting in the wind. There was no place to go.
But he must have gone somewhere. How else could they find him? Unless he went back to them.
He didn't.
How do you know? Sounds like he was just as impetuous as ever.
You didn't know him at all. So try not to insult his memory. He's dead.
Sorry about that.
Really? When you were asked about him in an interview, you said, let me quote, "There's no way in hell he's coming back alive." That sounds like a call to someone.
What he did?
Well, he's not alive now. They murdered him. They murdered my little brother. I'm not here to find out who ordered his death or why. I have my own suspicions. I know there was no sympathy for him when he was pleading for his life. I'm here to plead for his death, to give him an honorable burial. I beg you to let me do this. If you have any humanity left in you.
It isn't about my humanity. It's about sending the wrong message.
Oh, my brother is now a message. That's what you think of him.
You're young, too. And just as naive. Do you think that even if I wanted to let you do this, that...
But you don't, do you? You never did.
You don't know that. You never gave me a choice. Once you did that interview...
You are such a hypocrite to hide behind my interview and use it as an excuse not to do something you were never going to do anyway.
There's a larger context here. I can't let my personal feelings dictate how I act. Do you really think that if you brought your brother here, you could do it quietly without anybody noticing? His presence alone...
You mean his body? How come other prisoners were brought in for trials, but I can't bring in my dead brother to be buried?
Their trials would clearly lay out their crimes. Your brother can't stand trial now. If he can't be convicted, it's easy to portray him as a martyr.
Unbelievable. Alive he might have come in, dead he can't.
His body would incite a highly charged reactions from both sides.
The only question is, which side are you on?
Your actions have upset a lot of people.
Other than you?
I represent them.
And who represents us?
I do. But do I have to remind you again that your brother chose to go against you as well? He didn't have your best interest when he left.
You didn't know anything about him.
I do know what he said and did.
There's always a context, and you have no idea of what we've been through.
I know about your father's death.
You mean his murder? Then you also know that we never received any justice for that. Your police.
Our police.
They've never been ours. They dragged their feet and then said that they couldn't find the murderers.
Investigations don't always turn out the way we like.
Particularly for people like us.
You are determined to make this a racial issue.
You weren't there. You didn't see how the police questioned us, my family, during the worst time. They tried to make it look like it was our fault, that our father provoked the fight.
I read the case. There was a witness who said he was aggressive and insulting.
The same witness who had so many so-called eyewitness details but couldn't provide not a single clue to the identity of the killers? My father was a frail old man. They were 3 able-bodied killers. And we watched our father die in the hospital. My brother watched his youth drip away from him. He was young and frightened and angry.
That's no excuse to do what he did.
No, it isn't. But it happened. He became radicalized. He felt that there was no justice or favor for us in his own country. And these murderous people, ISIS, are very clever at exploiting young, disenfranchised people. How many times must I say that I don't condone what he did? But he paid for it with his life. All I want to do is bury my brother in his native country here so we can visit the grave.
Don't you people cremate your dead?
No. We people are Muslims, not Hindus. There's actually a difference if you care to find out. They cremate, we bury. Just like you people. Actually, plenty of you people also cremate your dead, so...
You still haven't told me why you went public. We could have handled this quietly.
That was never an option. I didn't make it public. As soon as he escaped from ISIS, he tried to get back but was denied entry. You now say he was being vetted? But his case went public immediately. Even the president weighed in. And once that happened, he knew he was a marked man. That's probably why he tried to disappear without even a passport. But somehow ISIS got wind of where he was and found a way to kill him. Which I think is exactly what the State Department wanted. Which is why details about his possible location became public. He was left hanging until he was murdered.
You don't know that.
Look at the facts and tell me that someone in this government didn't engineer it.
More conspiracy theories.
Think about it for a minute. The president didn't even want him coming home.
Do you mean despite the fact that the president allowed other captured prisoners to return?
That's different. Because they were treated as enemy combatants. My brother went there after ISIS was mostly destroyed. There wasn't an army to fight for. All he did was publish some online propaganda. Hard to convict someone on that alone, particularly when so many American citizens do it every day. Besides, in such a trial, who knows what could emerge? How our father was murdered? How the police blamed him? How his killers were not found because no real effort was made to find them? How, as a victim of American xenophobia and racism, my brother was vulnerable to being radicalized?
That's a far-fetched theory.
The trial would have been embarrassing because my brother could have become a symbol for the resistance against the president and his xenophobia, particularly against Muslims.
He isn't against Muslims, only radicalized ones, which is what your brother was. How can you deny it?
I never denied it. I've admitted it to you. But by continuously bringing it up, you're refocusing the attention on the same narrow point and clouding the other issues.
What issues are more important than that?
Due process. My brother was denied his right to due process.
Your brother joined a subversive enemy group, so he forfeited his rights.
You can't just take away his rights. There's a legal procedure involved. The president can't tweet away someone's citizenship like he tried to do. In fact, a natural-born citizen can't have his citizenship revoked at all. except in rare instances, and only through complex laser procedures. You're a high government official, and you don't know that? Or you choose to ignore that?
For the last time. Your brother wasn't actually denied entry. He was merely delayed while his status was being investigated.
By Jordanian authorities. The president has no qualms about forcing foreign governments to deny entry to our citizens. He's done that to Congresswomen. Nor does he have the qualms about forcing foreign governments to do any of his shady work, like digging up dirt against his political rivals. I wonder what favors were promised and why my brother's passport confiscated
Was just being held while his case was being considered and investigated.
I wonder what he was worth in the political marketplace when this president barters with American lives and tax dollars. But you don't seem to know much, do you? When it suits you to be blithely ignorant, you're a disgrace to your office.
My oath doesn't expect me to condone traitors, nor does it expect me to endanger the security of the state. Quite the opposite.
Now, I can almost understand the reluctance to let people like my brother back into the country because they may have been radicalized and might pose a danger. But if we are a country of law and order, and it's a big if these days, there should have been a process to deal with his case. Leaving him vulnerable and essentially stateless was a death sentence. However, I'm past arguing that. He's dead now, and he's no longer a threat to the state.
He could become a symbol to other potential traitors. His presence here, dead or alive, could inspire discontent and even insurrection.
That's rubbish, and you know it. It's a fanciful theory created solely to deny my request. One simple burial. As a Christian, you ought to know how important a proper burial is for passage into the next life. And yet you would force me to deny my brother that basic right? Your professed Christianity is a sham. It's punitive and heartless, particularly amongst evangelicals. Does it not strike you as ironic that extremists in both our religions are so similar? You go on and on and on about ISIS. But how are they different from the KKK and its agenda that is being implemented by hundreds of white supremacist groups today?
This is hardly the time or the place for a theological discussion.
Why not? That's the whole issue here, isn't it? Without the religious right, we wouldn't have this problem.
Without Muslim fanatics and your brother's actions, we wouldn't have this problem. Try not to deflect from the heart of this matter. And should I warn you that you're teetering dangerously close to being on the edge of being a traitor yourself?
What?
Do you think we don't know who you're in touch with? What, shall we say, unsavory groups are looking to use this issue to further opposition to the president? Do you deny it?
I honestly don't even know. Why would you?
It tells me all I need to know.
I was only going to say that you're the paranoid one now. Anyone I may or may not have been in contact with are not enemies of the state. They're part of millions of good American citizens who are opposed to this president. They're part of a resistance against him, and only he and his supporters think of them as enemies. I'm not surprised that you think anyone who opposes the president and you are traitors. That's because you don't believe in democracy or the Constitution.
You're not as clever as you think. You should really stay away from my son. Did you think he would condone your actions?
I don't believe you.
No? How stupid do you think my family is?
I don't doubt how cunning you are, but Hayden isn't you.
My son. You'll never betray me. You think you're so clever, but you're just a child, out of your depths. You should leave the politics to the grown-ups.
I don't care how devious you may be. There's nothing you can do to stop me.
You're being foolish and reckless.
This meeting was a mistake. I tried telling Hayden.
I did this for him. And for his sake, not yours. Let me warn you not to proceed with this. My hands are tied. You cannot and should not take on the power of the state, nor should you flout the laws of the state.
The laws of God supersede your edicts.
Okay, forget the warning. I'll put aside my pride and plead with you not to pursue this. If you care for Hayden at all.
Oh, you really are sneaky to use my love for your son to thwart me. But this has actually nothing to do with him.
I knew you were no good for him. I told him when it came down to it, you wouldn't care.
What do you know about caring? Or love? Or responsibility? All you think about are the politics of the moment, about appeasing the most racist and fanatical factions among your followers. I can't believe that you're Hayden's father. You're nothing like him.
You know nothing about my relationship with my son. Or my so-called followers. You think we're fanatical? Consider your own actions and your single-minded and reckless pursuit of something you can't fulfill on your own without working with subversive groups. You're exactly like your brother. He joined with foreign terrorists and you're engaging with domestic ones. Don't think for 1 minute that we don't know what you're up to. I didn't need Hayden, or you for that matter, to confirm anything. The only reason you're walking free is by my grace. Otherwise, I would have had you arrested a long time ago.
Your threats are puffs of smoke to me. I laugh at you, Governor Parker. I don't care what you do to me. You are all like starving wolves, baying to remind themselves that they're still alive, you and your thugs. You can harm me, even kill me, but my death will become a stronger symbol against you than my life ever was. And you can't turn Hayden and me against each other. We have a bond greater than the one he has with you. My coming here was a mistake.
She exits. The men's leader steps forward. So does the women's leader.
I hope you're satisfied.
I tried.
Yes, you did. But she's determined to do this.
If all she was doing was pursuing legal options, it would be one thing.
Governor Parker, she got nowhere when she tried that.
Who are you?
A concerned citizen.
Then you know what's transpired. You know I tried to plead with her.
Her brother is dead. She cannot leave him to rot.
He won't. We can arrange a funeral for him.
Just not here.
And in secret, so his memory and her honor are confined quietly to the trash can of history, shoved aside.
What would you have me do? She tied my hands once she went public about her plans. I have a duty to protect my citizens. This funeral would ensure a conflagration, mass protests, fighting, maybe even riots. I can't have that.
So much hate against one family, against one community.
I think you should leave. The governor and I have business.
Long silence as the women's leader stares at the men's leader. Then she slowly turns and walks back to her place.
If you let this slide, it will be the end of your governorship.
Are you threatening me?
Absolutely not. But you've seen the polls and read social media comments. Nobody supports her.
I wish there was just some other way to handle this. Maybe I should arrest her.
Yeah, but on what charge, Governor? She hasn't violated any laws. Yet.
What about these groups she's been in touch with? The ones that are helping her? They're subversive.
Well,
I know, until they actually... Maybe we should just let them proceed and catch them in the act.
Do you really want to chance it? Don't you think it should be nipped in the bud?
Yes, but there's Hayden.
What about him? We told you he would be your weak link.
He's my son, damn it!
And on the verge of being a traitor himself.
How dare you! Be careful. There's a limit to what I'll tolerate.
I'm sorry, sir. I spoke hastily. This has got us all on edge.
I know. But you're right. I have to do something before it gets out of hand. She's going to ruin my son, my governorship, and my state. I can't let that happen. Someone has to take a patriotic stand.
How can we help?
You stay out of this. I'll get my police to arrest her first and deal with the fallout later.
You just arrest her, she'll just become a cause célèbre.
What then? Make her disappear? You know what you're asking?
I'm just saying
that might be worse. And I won't do anything evil. It's one thing to uphold the laws and protect the citizens of the state. It's another to... I'll just arrest her and keep her from doing more harm.
Okay. Only for a few days until the next news cycle. I think people will be glad to see the end of her protest and attacks on the state.
She has to pay a legal price for what she's done. Only then will she be exposed for who she is. I'll take care of it.
Lights fade. Scene 9. Lights up. Nazneen and Hayden meet conversation.
He said what?
He didn't actually say it, but he implied.
Naz, he surprised me with the question. I was so shocked. I think I hesitated.
That was exactly my reaction. I think he used us against each other.
Of course he did. He already knew about you and your meetings with...
Whom?
I don't know, since you won't tell me. He's had you under surveillance for a while.
What?
You can't really be surprised by this.
You're right. I should have known. Did you know?
I only just confirmed it. That's why I came to warn you. You have to be careful.
I can't.
What do you mean? Please.
Hey, I'm so sorry, but I've reached a point where I can't go back.
These people are dangerous.
Who?
The people helping you and my father is dangerous. I can't protect you.
These people are not dangerous. They are well-meaning citizens who have money. And of course, they have a larger agenda than my brother's case. But they want change. Your father's rabid supporters are the dangerous ones. But I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know this is tearing you, and I wish I could find another way.
We must look for one.
I have. There isn't one. Oh, hey, I'm so sorry. We have no future ahead.
Don't say that, Naz. Please don't say that.
Your father will never let us be together. We could never marry.
My father does not control my life.
He controls mine. As long as I'm committed to this path.
You don't have to be.
Yes, I do. It's my destiny. It's become the most important thing to me.
Even more important than me? Us?
Please, Hayden. Don't make me choose.
Then I guess I know the answer.
At this moment, in this time, I really feel like I have no other choice.
Enter 2 police officers who sees Nazneen.
Nazneen Sayed, you're under arrest.
What?
What? Oh, you can't do this.
On what charge?
Treason.
Let her go.
Please, sir, don't interfere.
By whose orders?
The governor.
I'm his son, and I'm ordering you to let her go.
I'm sorry, sir. You don't have the authority.
Let's go. Ma'am, if you resist, we'll be forced to handcuff you. We don't want to do that, so please come quietly.
Hey! I'll go with you.
I'm coming too.
They exit. Lights fade. Scene 10. Lights up. Enter Nazneen with the officers and Hayden. Enter Governor Parker.
Dad, what is going on?
Hayden, stay out of this.
I'm not going to. Either you stop this charade right now,
or what, Hayden? I think you need to shut up and listen, or I'll have you arrested and removed from here.
Huh, that's nice. You're gonna arrest your own son? On what charge?
Obstruction of justice.
This is your idea of justice? Do not make me laugh.
Hey, don't worry. Let's just see what this is all about.
Now, I have already tried to
Still
reason.
can't say your name.
I've already tried to reason with you.
You call this reasoning?
Let me finish, please. You have consorted with subversive groups in this venture of yours, despite several warnings. I can't let you continue with this action. But before you attack me, let me make you an offer. Despite what you think, I am not totally unsympathetic to your plight.
Your words and actions notwithstanding.
If you give up your demands to have your brother's body brought home, we can arrange for him to be buried where he is. So he will get his burial.
In some foreign land? Like an animal covered the dirt in which it was killed? Away from his family and friends?
May I remind you that he forsook his family and friends when he joined up with a...
You don't know anything about our family and friends, so don't make any statements about them. As for your offer, no thank you. I want my brother brought home to be buried by us who love him, among the bodies of his ancestors, with the proper mourning and burial rites, the way our religion and God ordained it, so that we can visit his grave.
So you can turn his grave into a monument of resistance?
You already have your pound of flesh. He's dead. Now we want proper closure. So I reject your offer.
And what will you do?
But I must.
You are an obstinate, unreasonable girl. I don't think you care about your brother. I think all you want is to rile up traitors like yourself.
Say what you like. My request is the same as it always was.
Then you leave me no choice. I cannot let you destroy our laws or our peace. Take her away.
He gestures to the officers. Officer 1 grabs Nazneen by the hand as Officer 2 quickly walks ahead.
Dad, what are you doing? Stop!
Hayden, don't!
Hayden grapples with the officer.
You are a despicable person, even your son!
Nazneen breaks free and moves towards Parker. Officer 2 turns and draws his gun.
Stop! Don't go near him!
Nazneen ignores him and moves forward relentlessly. Officer 1 tries to break free of Hayden's grip. In the commotion, Officer 2 shoots Nazneen, who falls to the floor, dies. Hayden screams, breaks free, and rushes to her.
Oh my god! Oh my god, Nazneen! Darling, speak to me!
He cradles her body. Officer 2, his gun still drawn, approaches.
What have you done? What have you done? Dad, what have you done? She's dead! Murderer!
He leaps towards his father, but Officer 2 stops him. Hayden grabs the gun and waves it wildly.
Hayden! Son, don't!
Son, you are not my father! I don't recognize you at all! You're a murderer! You and your thugs!
Hayden, don't do anything rash.
He gestures to stop Officer 1, who's trying to draw his gun.
Don't! It's okay, Hayden. I'm sorry it's come to this.
Really? You're sorry? You're really sorry?
She didn't deserve this.
Nazneen is Nazneen! Nazneen! Say it! Say it, you bastard, Nazneen! Say it, motherfucker!
Okay. Nazneen!
It means beautiful! Exceedingly beautiful! Oh, Nazneen! I am so sorry, darling! I'm so sorry!
Can we talk about this, please?
Now you want to talk? What's left to talk about? She's dead and you killed her!
Hayden, my son, please put down the gun.
Son, how can you call me your son after what you've done? You've never seen me, much less known what I want or how I feel. You hated Nazneen from the beginning because she was. Oh my gosh, she
Hayden.
So beautiful, so young, and you took her youth from her like you took mine. I hate you. I fucking hate you. You're not my father. You never were my father, except in name. And now, I am not your son. From this moment, you don't have a son.
He puts the gun to his head and pulls the trigger. Dies. Parker rushes towards her.
Hayden! 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 Talk to me! What have you done? What have I done? How did this happen? You! You did this! You forced me! You pushed me! No. No, I had a choice. I could have. No! Hayden! My darling boy. What can I do? What did I do? God, I wish it. How did this happen? Where did we make the wrong turn? Oh, God! What is this? Oh, Hayden, Hayden. Oh, my God, what did I tell your mom? She warned me about pushing you. She warned me. She warned me. And now I'm no longer a father. I have no son.
He covers Hayden's body with his own. During the last part of his speech, the men's chorus steps in time, silently marching as the women's chorus comes forward.
A deadly hush on us descends. This is the death of innocence. We do not know what this portends. We have no wisdom to dispense. Evil gloats across this land, blowing the holy incense from everywhere like grains of sand. The gods retreat to silence.
The women break up, and disjointed and dispirited, they exit. The men's stepping grows stronger and louder, stamping their feet decisively on the floor as they move to occupy the whole stage, marching, 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 then stepping in time vigorously about the three bodies, their boots loud on the floor as the light slowly fades